You cannot have further claims against the developer if they fail to comply by the terms and conditions of the contract. For example, they cancel the project, you get your money back, you can't go back and sue the developer. If you're thinking about buying a presale in Vancouver, here are the 3 most important things that you need to know when it comes to buying a presale in Vancouver. If you don't know who I am and this is the first time you're watching this, my name is Uzair Muhammad. I specialize in presales throughout the Lower Mainland, especially the Fraser Valley, helping investors, first-time buyers get into lucrative presale investments where you actually make money. So if that's something that you're considering seriously, I'd love to work for you. Number 1, no developer can sell you a presale unit or come to market without filing something called a disclosure statement. This is the blueprint of the entire development, where you will find how many units are coming to market. If this is a master plan community, the history on the developer. A lot of times you can't find all that information, but they have to disclose that in the disclosure of statement. They cannot write a contract until they file this disclosure statement, where you can have access to all the information that is necessary for you to understand what you're buying. So make sure to look at the disclosure statement, because it'll tell you everything that you need to know. Some of the most important thing that you'll find in the disclosure statement is something called a strata plan. A lot of times developers will use the floor plans or the marketing material that showcases how big the unit is going to be. So something that you want to go back and check is in the strata plan, which is more of the architectural renderings of the building, that you can go back and make sure that the measurements match up to what the floor plan is being marketed as. A lot of time developers will use marketing material where the floor plan is showing a higher square footage, where when you go back into the strata plan, there's a 10 to 15 square foot discrepancies. So make sure you check that. So everything that you need to know about that development will be in the disclosure statement. The second most important thing that you need to keep in mind is that every deposit that you give to the developer, it has to go into the trust account of the developer's solicitor. In other words, a lawyer's trust account. Your deposit is protected under the Real Estate Marketing Act, which says that if the developer violates some of the terms in the contract, which are getting a building permit within 12 months, getting financing within 12 months, or filing a disclosure statement, if they fail to complete the project to a certain date, that deposit then becomes available to you to terminate the contract and get their money back. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that you cannot have further claims against the developer if they fail to comply by the terms and conditions of the contract. For example, they cancel the project, you get your money back, you can't go back and sue the developer. So your money is protected. The only thing that you can't do is go after the developer for damages, any damages that you may have incurred by leaving the money in the trust account. So that's something to keep in mind. Your deposit is protected, but there are some terms and conditions the developer has to meet in order for them to keep the deposit. And if they violate those, you get your money back. And number 3, and this is very important, a lot of people don't understand what this is. This is the 7-day rescission period from the time you sign the contract. Once you have signed the contract and you go to sleep and you wake up the next morning and say, I don't know if this is the right investment, you do have 7 days to cancel that contract. The reason for the 7-day rescission period is so you can actually go through the disclosure statement, go through the renderings, go through everything that you need to do your due diligence on to make sure that you're making the right investment. That goes for developers' history, going to the site to make sure that it's accurate to what they're saying, going through the strata plans to make sure that the size of the unit is going to be exactly what they're saying it's going to be. There's always going to be variations, but depending on what the contract says, it could be between 3% to 11% variation in size, the material they're going to use. So you have to be very careful when you're buying a presale that you go through the contract really thoroughly to make sure that you understand what you're buying and that you are protected. And that's what the 7 days are for you to do your homework. Some of the things you can do during the 7 days is to send your contract to a lawyer or have your agent review the contract for you and explain to you what this is all about and what you're actually buying. Some of the terms and conditions that are in the contract, for example, assignment terms. Yes, the developer will allow an assignment of contract, means that you can flip the presale before completion. But what does that really mean? What other conditions do you need to meet before you can assign it? Some of the conditions are that your entire deposit needs to be paid to the developer before you can even assign the contract over to the next person. So you can't just buy a presale and not pay your full deposit and then try to assign it. Like, those are the things that you want to review within those 7 days. And some of the things that don't work out for you, you can go back and cancel your contract and make sure that you do your homework within the 7 days. So I hope this helps you. These are some of the most important things that you need to keep in mind when you're buying a presale. And if you're serious about buying one and you're considering this as an investment, which is a good way to get into the market or make a good lucrative investment in the Vancouver real estate market, my name is Uzair Muhammad. I specialize in presales and I look forward to working with you if this is something that you're looking to invest in.